Hey guys, my name is JessiMew, and welcome back to Adam's Quest. In the last episode, our creatures learned firsthand the dangers of the jungle, when poor little Summer was almost eaten alive by that carnivorous plant. It spawned back after we picked all of its fruit, but this time it was a little bit more dangerous than the last time we interacted with it. So Summer was able to warn her son, Eclipse, just in time for him to move away, but that meant that she was instead pulled into its grasp and paralyzed in between its leaves. But thanks to the Summer Prince's quick thinking, he was able to save his mother before she took any damage. And Quill too. She is kind of the hero of the story as well because she landed that last killing blow, or I'm assuming it was the killing blow anyway. Technically, we can still interact with this thing. We can still attack it, though it didn't really seem to do anything when Summer attempted. So I'm not sure if we have to clear it out with somebody a bit stronger, or if maybe eventually it's just going to turn into one of those little saplings. One of those very, very suspicious saplings so it can grow back into something new. But Mamba is going to do her best to clear out this area, hopefully with a little Eclipse as well. I'm sure he wouldn't mind helping out, especially after all of the trouble that it caused his mother. I'm thinking that she's going to try to find a way to honor him too. Maybe let him lead his own expedition in the future. He is a very adventurous soul in the end, so it would make sense if he helped some of our other creatures find the brand new ports over here, leading toward the savannas, where I'm sure he's going to absolutely love living. Now Firefly unfortunately is going to be passing away on this day, but at the very least he's going to meet his last baby right before he leaves his island. So we'll go ahead and collect some acorns with him. This family does love their acorns after all. Quill kind of seems like the sort of creature who would always keep a couple tucked away, so she can hand them out as snacks to anyone who needs it. Ladybug might just end up doing the same with all of her poison berries. She's kind of chatting it up with her friend Isla right now as she cleans off these berry bushes. She is going to make her way deeper into the swamps pretty soon though, because she would do a very, very good job as one of Vantikier's little trainees. Just like Cricket, who has kind of gotten away from himself. He found some poison berry bushes out here, but in all honesty, he's more concerned with making his way to the shore. He knows this will provide him with the perfect pathway to get right over to these jungle trees, and that's really what his family is after. They want to make their own sweet little safe haven right underneath the tallest tree on the island. So hopefully that will allow our jungle family to flourish again. The only thing that could get in the way is the apes, of course. So you're going to have to be very, very careful as you continue forward. Let's go ahead and sniff around again too, just to make sure. Unfortunately, like I said before, the poison-fanged creatures can't smell very well. So that means that he has to be pretty darn close to anything to sniff it out in the grass. His father is going to be the same way, but he's a little bit more concerned with clearing out this tiny little den, the swamp den surrounded by thorns. It's actually very, very well fortified, so I think he's going to let Ghost and Vantikier's family know that this would be the perfect place to raise their children. It even has a whole bunch of food for them to eat too. So why don't we see if Ghost can help lead them in that direction. We'll let him light the way so Vantikier can remain by his son's side, and maybe tell him all the stories about his mother, Meme, and what an amazing defender she was. He's going to have to take up her torch pretty soon, because he received some of those very strong Beryena genetics. He has the big body, of course, the Beryena claw. He's missing the ram horn, so he's not quite as strong as she was, but I think he'll still be able to provide us with quite a bit of protection. Let's see if we can bring Vantikier between the two berry bushes though. I think that would definitely help. And it must have actually rained overnight or something, because we have these strange puddles in the swamplands now. And if I remember correctly, you guys said that this is where those bugs spawn. So we're going to have to keep a super, super close eye on this, because we don't want our babies getting infected by that sleeping sickness. I think we'll leave little Sorala right here, even though she has one more turn to use, just so she can remain by her little brother's side. And then I think the only creatures we have left are right by the shore. This is becoming quite the interesting situation, because Roro, who was always so coddled by his mother when he was very young, has met this strange creature who spends her life in the ocean. She just enticed him closer with all of her little fishy friends that she's made in the deepest portions of the water. And I think he's starting to wonder if maybe there's a way that he could join her. So she knows the perfect way for him to get his taste of the ocean too. She'll bring him over here so he should be able to snag up this water healing plant right from the safety of dry land. So this thing is going to allow him to breathe underwater for a couple of turns. We're going to have to be careful though, because if it runs out, and if we don't notice, he's going to start taking drowning damage pretty quickly. Luckily, because these count as healing plants, I think it's also going to take a little bit of damage off of his lifespan. So if we do make a mistake, it shouldn't be too bad. He's a little bit tired today though, so Coral will just show him how to dive into the water. Maybe he's actually a little bit apprehensive. I mean, this is like nothing that he's ever done before, so he needs a little bit of time to work up to it, I guess. Isla, on the other hand, is quite a bit more cautious, which is probably because of her dark fur color that lets her blend into all of her scenery. She's very, very quiet and stealthy, just like her mother Mamba, and I think she's actually going to stay on dry land. She's not sure if she likes the idea of her brother scooting off into the waves, so maybe she'll try to let Mamba know what's going on. And now poor little Summer is finally ready to take her turn too. She needed a little bit of time to rest after that very harrowing experience. In fact, let's just bring her over here to pick up some of the berries, maybe offer them up to her son as a snack. He could use the extra energy after all, and then I think we're ready to skip the turn again. So let's cross our fingers that this carnivorous plant is not going to cause Mamba any trouble. Let's see if it's going to grow back or maybe wither away. Okay, this time we saw it for ourselves. It actually turned back into that tiny, tiny little sapling. So I guess that means that we need to move our creatures away as soon as possible, just in case it grows back with that red aura around it, which means it's looking to munch on us. So Mamba, you might as well jump over here and pick up this bunny. That would probably be the best use of your turn. And then before we check out that baby, let's go ahead and sniff around again just to make sure that we only have the Dodomingo to worry about. Oh, we have a bunny way out here. Look at that guy. What on earth are you munching on? Oh, there's a tiny little grasslands out here. And it looks like we do actually have a back door in our den. So I guess if you guys clean up this place pretty well, you can explore that area too. But first things first, let's check out the brand new little baby that was born. And unfortunately, the very same day that her father passed away. Oh my goodness, but look at her. She has the claw and the spiky body. So it's nice to see that that's carrying on in Quill's line. That'll keep her safe from some potential predators, things that would be looking to munch on her, as we learned from Meme. She was able to actually scare off a Berryina just on her looks alone. So I think with all of her spikes and that dark red fur too, we'll name this little baby Fang, and she'll make a wonderful addition to all of our defenders. She'll be able to make sure that everybody on this side of the island is kept safe, especially since we have these specific dangers to watch out for. That means that she should be able to help anyone who gets stuck. She actually has the same amount of strength as Eclipse, and since he did such a good job before, I don't think we have too much to worry about. Now this does mean that Quill's very last turn is upon us, though that means that she'll be able to see her sister again. She hasn't seen Meme in a very, very long time. I don't think she even knows that Meme had a family of her own with a Vantikir, and unfortunately it seems like she won't get the chance to see it herself. But if we have her call Summer over to the nest for a little while, just to watch after her baby, then we could have Quill return to her tree, pick up some of her acorns, and then scurry back to the nest to offer them to her baby. Maybe she'll fill the nest with the last of the acorns that she's stashed away, just for a little bit of good luck. It seems like Fang isn't going to be able to pick them up herself since she doesn't have the nimble fingers, so maybe she'll look for a partner or a friend who can help her out with that, since I'm sure she'll look back on this memory very, very fondly when she grows. Now it looks like we've unlocked another mutation as well, so let's see if we can figure out which new thing has popped up inside this menu. Oh, it's the toxic body. Oh, excellent. That means that we've picked enough poison berries to mutate that into our lines. I was actually wondering if we should maybe create a little offshoot of our Summer Shores branch with the toxic body and their genetics. The Summer Shores are known for their super bright colored furs, and the toxic body will give them some very, very interesting hues. Some slightly more mystical colors, in fact, like blue and purple. So it's something for us to consider later on with our summer prince. Right now, he's just excited to get the chance to start his own adventure. So I think Mamba might actually call her daughter Isla over to take part, because she would do a good job helping him clear out all of that grass too. And in the process, she can maybe mention her brother's new friend, who is luring him dangerously close to the sea. And unfortunately, by the time Mamba has enough energy to go visit him, he is going to be long gone, because now he can dive into the ocean without fear. So let's have him scoot over this way, so we can drop right down next to his friend Coral, and look at all of the healing plants that he has to use. Yeah, I don't think we'll have to worry too much. Swimming might be new to him, but he has plenty of water-breathing plants to keep him alive. And he already has some little fishy friends coming up to greet him too. Let's go ahead and have Coral scoop up some of this algae though, and I guess some of the little morsels. They need to make sure they have food to eat as well after all, so they can munch on the tiny ones instead. Now it's time once again for Ladybug to follow her stomach, as she makes her way down through the swamplands, past those very, very old ports. She might even be the one to pick up this crabbit meat over here, if our family of beacons don't get to it first. I love the idea of these creatures kind of helping to guide those who are lost, especially in the swamplands where things are so dark and twisted. Seeing a creature with this bright white fur would be a wonderful sort of sign. So maybe Sorala will be the one to help guide Ladybug over to these swampy shores. But let's have Kukirkir move his way right up next to his father. I'm glad to see that the bugs haven't actually spawned yet, despite the fact that we're kind of sitting right in the middle of their big puddles of water. So let's cross our fingers that it stays that way. Now, this being Vantikir's very last turn too, I think it is time for Ghost to return to his side and make sure that he can pass in peace. And more importantly, make sure that Kukirkir isn't going to be left alone either. Make sure he knows that he has a very, very devoted soul watching after him. And Fig too, as he cleans out their new little den. Now last but not least, we just have Cricket, who is finally going to plant his little feet down on the shore. So he is getting dangerously close to those smelly trees now. I'm sure even at this distance, he would be able to... Oh no! He would be able to sniff it out. There is actually an ape in there. Oh, Cricket, this is not good. Do not lead the ape toward us. I think it's one of the big-nosed apes, which is actually quite unfortunate for us. It's good for you because you have the stinky tail, so hopefully he won't catch your scent. But it is going to be so very hard for us to pick these fruits now, because we need that to unlock the stinky tail inside the mutation menu. That's the only way for us to gain access to it. So it has to be done, but it'll have to be by a line that we make just for this purpose. And Cricket is not going to be the one. So let's bring him back up into the swamp so we can let his family know about what he has found over by that tree. It is definitely not the safe haven that they were hoping for, but it does remind them of those very, very old stories, when Comet himself gave our creatures the visions of all the nasty things in the jungle. Let's just scoot on over here though, just in case. Just to make sure that ape isn't actually going to turn and try to find him instead. Well, Cricket seems safe. He can't smell the ape at least, but there was quite a bit of noise on the island. I know a lot of creatures passed away, but oh my goodness, I think the bugs finally caught up to us. In fact, it looks like Kukirkir himself may have been infected by the sleeping sickness. Oh no, so he stayed way, way too long inside these little puddles. But I mean, he wanted to be right next to his father as he passed, so it's not something he'll regret. But now his sister is going to be worried sick. So let's have her make her way back over to these nests, make sure that she can clean that up for them, and then we'll scoot her right on up here to kind of light the way. That way when he finally does wake up, when the sleeping sickness wears off, we'll be able to ship him straight into this tiny little den where it'll hopefully be much, much safer for them to stay. Now, did one of you guys pick up a leech? It's Coral again. Interestingly enough, it always seems to be Coral who attracts them. It must be that bright red fur. Let's just make sure that Roro still has the water breathing on him though, just in case. And I think we'll have them swim their way over toward the left over here. But we'll have to be careful with Roro because his swimming skill is much lower, so we probably don't want him staying in the deepest parts of the ocean. That being said, this might be the perfect opportunity for them to maybe consider starting a family of their own. Coral has found so much of this algae in the water, it would be the perfect thing for her to make her nests out of. So I think what we're going to do is place the water body into Roro's mutation menu. We definitely want to see that get carried on from Coral's line. Then we'll check the hemophilia in Coral's mutation menu as well as the ram horns to make it a little bit more likely that our babies will be super, super strong. And I think with that, they should be ready to breed on this turn. So hopefully she can set up a nest right along the shores. Since we're not 100% sure that this baby is going to be born with a water body, we don't want to risk it. So let's have her swim her way up here. She won't get too far away just in case Roro needs a little bit of extra help getting out of the water. But again, since he's surrounded by these plants, I don't think we'll have to worry too much. Now meanwhile, Ladybug, you must be very curious to find out where that strange creature ran off to with the bright white fur. So let's have her make her way right up here into the swamplands as well, which is sure to make her quite happy because look how many poison berries she has to eat. She is not going to go hungry anytime soon. Now let's see what this plant is doing today. Look at that. It has the fruit again because it's green. So Mamba must be quite pleased. But first she might as well scoop up this bunny again because they're just going to cause her trouble. She's worried too about the whereabouts of her son, of course. But with no idea where he may have wandered off to, I think all she's going to be able to do is just pick up the food for the newest little baby in the nest. Fang is going to have to stick right next to Summer. She must be quite happy to have a new baby to take care of actually, even though she's not related to her by blood. She's very caring and she has quite a few adventures, quite a bit of experience to lend to a young mind. For now, we'll have her go ahead and clean up the nests. And then we're going to have to find somebody who can help her with these acorns because, oh, okay, Summer. I thought it was going to be tricky for you to crack those open, but she managed to gather up the first one right away. So maybe she can still offer them up to little Fang to remind her of her mother. And it's always so sweet when creatures who are so close together end up passing on the very same tile. Now we can rest assured that her parents are at peace together. Now let's make sure that our summer prince doesn't stick too close to those big puddles of water, just in case some more of those bugs decide to spawn overnight. He did find us a nest though, right next to the ports too. How lucky is that? That means that we're going to be able to start a brand new generation right before we leave this island. We still have plenty more to cover here first though. We need to find a way to pick those fruits, and we need Cricket to make his way right back to his family so he can let them know what's going on. In fact, he might dart into the safety of their little swamp den so he can talk to his father first. And I think that's a good sign that they need to start clearing out that little back entrance to their home. Maybe they can find a better way to sneak up on the ape. Maybe, in fact, if there's nothing close to this tree, that would be a better one for them to pick from. As long as that ape doesn't find his way over to our creatures at least. That is going to spell disaster for them pretty quickly. We'll have Ghost, as always, do the same, make sure that this family is going to be safe and sound inside the swamps. Something that Sarala is very well accustomed to. She must remember him as this wonderful, valiant knight of her youth, who saved her from the Bergina when she was first born. I wonder if she's hoping that she might get to know him a little bit better. Maybe they can even start a family in the future. It would be nice if Ghost's role could be felt in multiple babies. That way we could have little shamans on every corner of the island, making sure that our creatures are passing away peacefully. But I think we're all done with our turns now, so yet again, let's make sure that ape isn't going to slither its way out of the grass and try to surprise our creatures in the swamps. Luckily they haven't, but these bugs are an absolute menace. It looks like poor little Kukirkir isn't going to be able to move until he has his third gem, because that sleeping sickness takes 2 of their turns away. So Sarala has been affected now. She has a sleeping sickness too. So let's move her deeper into the little confines of their den to make sure that she's safe right next to all of these thorns. We'll bring Ghost right to her side, something that would surely remind her of her time as a young child, as I'm sure Roro and Coral are getting attacked by the leeches right now. You poor things. That being said, Roro has run out of his water-breathing plant, so it's time for him to snatch another one up as soon as possible. Then he can make his way over to Coral's side without worrying about drowning in the process. We can pick that leech right off of his body, and then set her up on the shores, where she can hopefully make a nest pretty soon, if those bugs don't get in the way. One of the nice things about the water body is that they won't have to worry about the bugs as long as they can dive into the ocean, because they won't be following them there. But Junebug is definitely not so lucky, so let's bring her away from those bugs as soon as possible. In fact, I think we'll move her right into the den, where she has all of these poison berries to eat, and some new faces to meet too. Cricket in particular might be surprised by her very timely appearance, and hopefully he'll want to get to know her a little bit better. Maybe he could offer up some of the poison berries, because he would notice those giant fangs, of course, which means she's very, very well accustomed to that bitter taste. More importantly though, they both do have the stinky tail in their genetics, so it would be very likely for us to see that get passed on their babies. And that's exactly what we want to preserve inside Cricket's line. So we'll see if they can get to know each other overnight, as his father makes his way deeper into this grass on some of his very last turns. He is a warrior to the end though. He is going to protect his family no matter what. Hopefully those bunnies are still hopping around in this grass so they'll have a little bit of extra food to eat too, because this tiny grasslands just might end up being their safe haven, judging by all of these bugs. We have bugs over here, we have bugs way back here by that carnivorous plant. They're probably eyeing up Mamba at this point, so she might want to move away. She'll steal a couple of those berries and then jump down here so she has the chance to warn Summer. Even Eclipse has fallen victim to those awful, awful bugs. Now he has a sleep sickness too. So that means Isla is going to have to make sure that he's safe from here on out. Make sure that nothing sneaks up when he doesn't have the energy to move. But in the next episode, we should be making our way deeper into the island itself, seeing what we can find. Wait a second. How long has this bluebird been here? Oh my gosh, I did not even notice that thing spawn. Okay, we're going to have to keep a very close eye on our babies now too, apparently. I guess you were right to worry, Mamba, because it seems like Adam's old stories are finally starting to come true. So in the next episode, we'll see what happens with all of these bugs, all of these bluebirds, and hopefully all of these new babies that are just about to be born. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!